Welcome to Echoes of Ihsan, where we take these deep dives into some fascinating topics, and today we're going to be looking at Islamic guidance and piety through the wisdom of Imam al-Ghazali.
Oh, wow.
You've shared some excerpts from al-Ghazali on Islamic guidance and piety by Muhammad Abul Qasim,
Yes,
and I have to admit the title alone sounds pretty
it
intense.
is. It is.
But don't worry, we're here to break it all down, explore the key concepts, and hopefully uncover some real gems of wisdom from this really influential scholar.
Yeah, it should be a really enlightening journey. Imam al-Ghazali is really a towering figure in Islamic thought and offers profound insights into the nature of piety
Hmm.
or taqwa. And they're just as relevant today as they were, centuries ago.
Okay, so let's start with the basics then. When we talk about taqwa,
Yeah.
what exactly are we talking about?
Right.
I mean, it's one of those terms that gets thrown around a lot, but what does it truly mean, like, in the context of al-Ghazali's teachings?
Well, you can think of taqwa as this deep-rooted consciousness of Allah, an awareness that kind of permeates every aspect of your being.
Hmm.
It's not just about outward actions or
Sure.
rituals, but cultivating a state of reverence, humility, and love for Allah that flows from the heart
Okay.
and manifests in everything you do.
So it's more than just following the rules. It's about an internal transformation that kind of shapes how you move through the world.
Exactly. It's
Oh.
about aligning your entire being. So your thoughts, your words, your actions with the divine will.
Hmm.
Al-Ghazali believed that true piety is a journey of the heart, a process of purifying your inner self,
Right.
so that your actions naturally reflect that inner state of closeness to Allah.
That's a powerful concept.
Yeah.
It reminds me of something I read in the excerpts about al-Ghazali's emphasis on knowledge and action going hand in hand.
Yes.
Can you elaborate on that a bit more?
Absolutely. Al-Ghazali makes this fascinating argument that true knowledge should naturally lead to righteous action.
Okay.
So for him, knowledge without action is like a seed that never sprouts. And action without knowledge is like wandering aimlessly in the dark.
Huh.
He saw them as two sides of the same coin, inseparable and essential for a life of true piety.
So it's not enough to simply know what's right. You have to actively live it.
Yeah.
That striving, that conscious effort to align your actions with your knowledge, that's where the real piety comes in.
Precisely. And this is where Al-Ghazali introduces the concept of Ihsan,
Okay.
often translated as excellence or perfection in worship and actions. It takes piety to a whole other level.
Okay, Ihsan, now we're getting to the heart of the podcast's name.
Yes.
Tell me more about this idea of excellence.
Think of it this way. Imagine approaching every action, every interaction, every moment of your day
Mm-hmm.
with the awareness that Allah is watching, or even better, with the feeling that you are in His presence.
Okay.
That's the essence of Ihsan.
Okay.
It's about striving to perform every action with sincerity, mindfulness, and a deep sense of purpose, as if you are directly witnessing the divine.
Wow, that's an incredibly high standard. It makes you pause and consider how you're approaching even the most mundane tasks.
It is a high standard, but Al-Ghazali believed that it's through this striving for excellence, this a conscious effort to infuse every action with a higher purpose, that we can truly elevate our lives and draw closer to Allah.
Mm-hmm.
He saw even the smallest acts as potential acts of worship when performed with the right intention.
So let's say you're doing something simple like washing the dishes. How would you approach that task with Ihsan?
That's a great question. Applying Ihsan to something as ordinary as washing dishes could mean approaching the task with mindfulness and gratitude, appreciating the clean water, the food that nourished you, the health and ability to perform this act.
Right.
It's about shifting your perspective, seeing the task not as a chore, but as an opportunity to cultivate mindfulness and gratitude, to connect with the present moment, and to find a sense of peace and purpose in the everyday.
That's a really beautiful way to look at it. It's about finding that deeper meaning, that connection to something bigger than yourself, even in the most ordinary moments.
And remember, we're talking about striving, not achieving perfection.
Right.
The Al-Ghazali acknowledged that we are human, prone to distractions and shortcomings.
Of course.
But the effort itself, the conscious intention to align our actions with the divine will, that's what truly matters.
So all this talk about Taqwa, Ihsan, striving for excellence,
Yes.
why should any of this matter to us today? What's the relevance of al-Ghazali's ideas in our modern lives?
That's where it gets really interesting. You see, Al-Ghazali's teachings on piety and Ihsan provide a framework for a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
Okay.
Regardless of your background or beliefs, it's about cultivating a deep connection with the divine, with that source of goodness and truth that transcends our individual limitations, and letting that connection ripple outward,
Okay.
influencing your relationships, your actions, your overall sense of purpose.
So it's about that internal transformation leading to external change.
Yeah.
It's a journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth that can resonate with anyone, even those outside the Islamic faith.
Absolutely. It's about recognizing the inherent dignity and potential within yourself and striving to live a life that reflects those qualities.
Hmm.
Al-Ghazali believed that the path to piety is a path to becoming the best version of yourself,
Right?
to cultivating those virtues that lead to inner peace, compassion, and a more just and harmonious world.
Now I'm starting to feel a bit more introspective just thinking about all this. But there's more, right?
Yes.
In these excerpts, you marked a section where Al-Ghazali talks about the diseases of the heart. What's that all about?
Yes, this is where Al-Ghazali gets really practical. He was very much concerned with purifying the heart, which he saw as the core of our being,
Okay.
the seed of our intentions and motivations.
Hmm.
And he identified various diseases, envy, arrogance, greed, hypocrisy,
Right?
just to name a few that can corrupt the heart and hinder our spiritual progress.
So these are like negative qualities or tendencies that hold us back from reaching that state of Ihsan.
Precisely, imagine your heart as a garden. These diseases are like weeds that choke the beautiful flowers of virtue,
Right.
preventing them from fully blossoming. They cloud our judgment, distort our intentions, and lead us away from the path of piety.
I think we all have some of those weeds in our hearts, right? Some more than others, perhaps. But it's part of the human condition.
Of course, we're all works in progress, but the key, according to Al-Ghazali, is to recognize these negative tendencies within ourselves and actively work to purify our hearts.
Okay.
It's a process of self-reflection, of weeding out the negative and making space for the positive.
Easier said than done, I imagine.
It is.
So how did Al-Ghazali suggest we tackle these diseases? Did he have any practical advice?
That's a great question, and it leads us to another fascinating aspect of Al-Ghazali's teachings. He offered a multifaceted approach, a combination of self-awareness, knowledge, and consistent practice. He stressed the importance of self-reflection, honestly assessing your thoughts and actions,
Right.
and identifying those areas where you need to grow.
It's like taking inventory of your inner world, becoming aware of those negative patterns and habits that are holding you back.
Exactly. And then he encouraged seeking knowledge not just about religious doctrines,
Right?
but also about yourself, understanding your strengths, your weaknesses, your triggers, and the ways in which those diseases manifest in your life.
So it's about pairing that self-awareness with a deeper understanding of the human condition,
Yes.
of the psychological and spiritual factors that contribute to those negative tendencies.
Precisely. And finally, Al-Ghazali emphasized the importance of consistent practice of cultivating virtues like humility, gratitude, and compassion as antidotes to those spiritual ailments.
Okay.
He saw these virtues as the medicine that heals the heart, the nourishment that helps the flowers of piety to flourish.
So it's a continuous process of self-improvement, of weeding out the negative and nurturing the positive,
Yes.
of transforming your inner world so that it reflects the qualities you want to embody in the outer world.
Beautifully put. It's about approaching this journey of piety not as a destination, but as a lifelong process of purification and refinement.
Right.
It requires commitment, self-awareness, and a genuine desire to draw closer to Allah and to become the best version of yourself.
I'm really appreciating how Al-Ghazali connects piety to personal growth.
Yeah.
It's not just about being good in a religious sense,
Right.
but about becoming a better human being overall.
I think that's a key takeaway from his teachings. He saw piety as a catalyst for personal transformation, leading to greater self-awareness, compassion, and ultimately a more meaningful and fulfilling existence.
We've covered a lot of ground here from Taqwa and Ihsan to the diseases of the heart.
Yeah.
All incredibly insightful concepts.
Yeah.
But I'm curious, how did Al-Ghazali view the role of worldly affairs in the pursuit of piety? Did he advocate for complete detachment from the world?
That's a really important question, and it's often a point of debate, even among scholars. Al-Ghazali recognized the importance of engaging in the world responsibly,
Okay.
but cautioned against becoming consumed by its fleeting pleasures and distractions. He saw the world as a testing ground,
Okay.
a place where we can refine our character and strengthen our resolve.
So it's not about renouncing the world entirely,
Right.
but about finding a healthy balance between our worldly engagements and our spiritual aspirations.
Exactly. It's about using your worldly engagements as opportunities to cultivate virtue, to serve others, and ultimately to draw closer to Allah. Imagine you're a doctor treating patients. You could approach this work simply as a profession,
Okay.
or you could view it as an act of service, an opportunity to alleviate suffering and to embody compassion.
I think that's a really nuanced perspective.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing the potential for spiritual growth, even in the midst of worldly affairs.
Yeah.
It's not about escaping the world, but about engaging with it in a mindful and intentional way.
And that's where al-Ghazali's teachings become incredibly relevant to our lives today. In a world filled with distractions, temptations, and challenges, it's easy to lose sight of our spiritual compass.
Right.
But al-Ghazali reminds us that every moment, every interaction, every choice we make is an opportunity to cultivate piety,
Right.
to grow and to move closer to that state of Ihsan he so beautifully describes.
This is fascinating, and I'm already feeling a shift in my perspective just thinking about all this, but I have a feeling there's more to unpack.
You bet there is. Al-Ghazali has so much more to offer on this journey of piety.
Well, I'm ready to keep diving deeper.
Mm.
We'll continue our exploration of al-Ghazali's wisdom in our next segment. Stay tuned, folks.
Welcome back to our deep dive into the wisdom of Imam al-Ghazali. We've already uncovered some fascinating insights into the nature of piety, Ihsan, and the importance of self-reflection.
Yeah.
But, I'm eager to explore how we can actually put these concepts into practice.
Me too. We've laid some groundwork.
Right.
Understanding what al-Ghazali means by taqwa and striving for Ihsan.
Right.
Even recognizing those diseases of the heart
Yeah.
we might be battling.
Mm-hmm.
But knowing and doing are two different things.
Right.
Where do we even begin to translate these lofty ideas into concrete actions?
You've hit on a crucial point.
Yeah.
The bridge between theory and practice. Fortunately, al-Ghazali doesn't just leave us with abstract concepts. He provides a roadmap, a set of practical steps to cultivate piety and navigate the spiritual path.
Okay, I love the idea of a roadmap. So what's the starting point? What's step one on this journey?
According to al-Ghazali, the journey begins with purifying our intentions.
Okay.
He emphasizes that every action, no matter how small
Right.
or seemingly insignificant, should be rooted in a sincere desire to please Allah.
So it's not just about going through the motions, but about aligning our actions with a higher purpose.
Exactly.
It's about infusing even the most mundane tasks with spiritual significance.
Precisely. It's about recognizing that every moment, every choice we make is an opportunity to cultivate piety and draw closer to Allah, whether we're eating, working, interacting with others,
Right.
or even just taking a walk in nature.
Yeah.
Our intentions shape the spiritual value of our actions.
Can you give me an example of what this might look like in everyday life?
Imagine you're at work facing a challenging task.
Okay.
Instead of approaching it with frustration or resentment,
Yeah.
you could pause and remind yourself that this is an opportunity to serve Allah through your efforts. You could reframe the task as a means of utilizing the skills and talents He has given you,
Okay.
seeking His guidance and blessings as you strive to do your best.
Right.
That shift in intention can transform a mundane task into an act of worship.
That's a powerful shift in perspective. It's about finding that deeper meaning, that connection to the divine, even in the midst of our daily routines.
Exactly, and it's a practice we can cultivate throughout the day.
Okay.
For instance, before eating a meal, we can take a moment to express gratitude to Allah for the sustenance He has provided, acknowledging His blessings, and recognizing that even the act of eating can be a form of worship when done with the right intention.
I'm starting to see how this idea of purifying intentions can really transform how we approach our lives. It's about bringing that consciousness of Allah into everything we do.
And that's where another key practice comes in, the remembrance of Allah, or dhikr. Al-Ghazali viewed dhikr as a powerful tool for keeping us anchored to the divine presence throughout the day.
Okay, so we've talked about purifying intentions.
Yes.
Now we're adding dhikr to the roadmap.
Right.
But what exactly does dhikr entail? Is it just about reciting certain phrases or prayers?
While formal prayers and invocations are certainly part of dhikr,
Okay.
Al-Ghazali emphasized that it's much more than that. It's about cultivating a state of continuous awareness of Allah, a heartfelt remembrance that permeates your thoughts and actions.
Okay.
It's about keeping that connection to the divine alive in every moment,
Yeah.
even amidst the hustle and bustle of life.
So it's more about that inner state of remembrance, that constant awareness of Allah's presence, rather than just the outward expressions of it.
Precisely, think of it as a continuous conversation with the divine, a silent dialogue that keeps your heart connected to your Creator. It could be as simple as reflecting on His names and attributes, pondering His signs in creation, or just pausing throughout the day to acknowledge His presence in your life.
I can see how this practice could be incredibly grounding, especially in a world that's so full of distractions
Yeah.
and demands on our attention.
It's like an anchor that keeps you from drifting too far away from your spiritual center.
Yeah.
Al-Ghazali believed that dhikr purifies the heart, wards off negative thoughts and distractions, and nurtures a state of peace and tranquility.
But I have to admit, maintaining that kind of focus and mindfulness throughout the day seems challenging.
Hmm.
My mind tends to race with a million thoughts, and finding that inner stillness feels elusive.
Right.
Did Al-Ghazali offer any advice on how to cultivate that kind of mindfulness?
He did. Al-Ghazali understood that our minds are like wild horses, easily distracted and pulled in different directions.
Right.
He recommended incorporating practices that help calm the mind and foster inner peace.
Like what kinds of practices? Give me some specifics.
He was a big proponent of reflecting on the Quran, contemplating its verses, and allowing their wisdom to penetrate your heart.
Okay.
He also encouraged contemplating the wonders of creation, observing the intricate beauty of nature, the vastness of the universe, the incredible complexity of the human body.
Right.
These acts of contemplation can evoke awe and wonder, reminding us of Allah's power, wisdom, and mercy.
So it's about shifting our focus away from the internal chatter and connecting with something larger than ourselves,
Yes.
finding moments of stillness and contemplation that allow us to reconnect with the divine.
And those moments don't have to be grand or elaborate.
Right.
Even taking a few minutes to sit in silence, observing your breath and quieting your mind can be incredibly powerful. Al-Ghazali believed that these moments of stillness create space for spiritual insights to emerge and for the heart to soften and become more receptive to the divine presence.
So we've got purifying intentions, practicing deep, and seeking moments of stillness.
Mhm.
What other gems did Al-Ghazali offer on this path to piety?
Another crucial element he emphasized is the importance of keeping good company, of surrounding ourselves with righteous and knowledgeable individuals who can support us on our journey.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Yes.
Their energy, their values, their way of being, it all rubs off on you.
That's a great analogy. Al-Ghazali recognized the profound influence our social circle has on our spiritual development.
Yeah.
He believed that spending time with people who embody piety and Ihsan can inspire us, keep us accountable,
Yeah.
and provide guidance and support when we falter.
It's like creating a supportive ecosystem
Yeah,
where we can learn from one another, encourage one another, and help each other stay on the path.
exactly. And this doesn't necessarily mean you have to abandon all your friends who aren't on the same spiritual wavelength.
Right.
But it does mean being mindful of the company you keep and seeking out those who can nourish your soul and help you grow.
I'm starting to see a pattern here. Intentions, remembrance, stillness, good company. It all seems to point to the importance of cultivating awareness and mindfulness
Yeah.
in every aspect of life.
You're absolutely right. That's a key takeaway from Al-Ghazali's teachings. For him, piety isn't confined to specific rituals or practices. It's an all-encompassing way of life.
Right.
It's about bringing that awareness and intention to every thought, word, and deed,
Yeah.
letting it permeate every facet of our being.
It's about that inner transformation radiating outwards, shaping how we interact with the world, with
Yep.
others, and even with ourselves.
Beautifully put, and it's a journey that requires continuous effort and self-reflection. We'll stumble, we'll get distracted, we'll forget.
Right.
But the key is to keep coming back to those core principles, to keep refining our intentions, to keep remembering Allah, to keep seeking stillness, and to keep surrounding ourselves with those who can support us on this path.
This is all so incredibly insightful, but I have to ask,
Yeah.
did Al-Ghazali address the role of hardship and suffering in this journey of piety?
Yeah.
Life isn't always smooth sailing. You know?
That's a perceptive question. And yes, Al-Ghazali had a lot to say about the role of hardship in our spiritual development.
Okay.
He believed that trials and tribulations are an inherent part of the human experience.
Right.
And he saw them not as punishments, but as opportunities for growth.
So instead of viewing hardship as a setback or a sign that we're doing something wrong,
Right.
we can reframe it as a chance to strengthen our faith and draw closer to Allah.
Exactly. Al-Ghazali saw these challenges as tests from Allah,
Okay.
designed to refine our character, to deepen our reliance on Him,
Right.
and to help us discover strengths and resilience we didn't even know we possessed.
Can you give me an example of what this might look like?
Imagine you're going through a period of financial difficulty.
Okay.
It's easy to feel overwhelmed, anxious, and even resentful, but applying Al-Ghazali's teachings,
Yeah.
it could approach this hardship as an opportunity to cultivate patience,
Okay.
to practice gratitude for what you do have, and to strengthen your trust in Allah's provision. You could see it as a chance to simplify your life, to reevaluate your priorities, and to develop a deeper sense of detachment from material possessions.
It's a perspective that can offer solace and hope during challenging times.
Yeah.
It's about finding meaning and purpose, even in the face of adversity.
And remember, al-Ghazali himself went through periods of intense spiritual turmoil and doubt.
Right.
He understood the complexities of the human condition and the challenges we face on this path.
It's reassuring to know that even someone as brilliant and devout as al-Ghazali faced his own struggles.
Yeah.
It makes his teachings feel more relatable and human.
Yes, he was a man of profound intellect, but also of deep empathy and understanding. He knew that this journey isn't about achieving perfection, but about striving, learning, and growing through our experiences, both the joyful and the difficult.
We've covered so much ground here, from setting right intentions and practicing dhikr, to seeking stillness, keeping good company, and even reframing hardship as a catalyst for growth. It's a lot to take in,
It is.
but it's also incredibly insightful. Is there anything else al-Ghazali highlighted on this path to piety? We've been on quite a journey, exploring Imam al-Ghazali's insights on piety and Ihsan.
Yeah.
It's amazing how these concepts developed centuries ago still resonate so deeply with our lives today.
Right.
But I'm curious, did he talk about any specific actions or deeds
Yeah.
that are particularly conducive to piety?
Right.
I mean, are there certain things we should be doing or avoiding in our daily lives to nurture that inner state of taqwa?
That's a fantastic question, and it gets to the heart of how al-Ghazali saw the connection between our inner world and our outward actions. Remember, he believed that true knowledge should naturally lead to righteous action.
Yeah.
So he placed a great deal of emphasis on following the pillars of Islam, prayer, fasting, charity, pilgrimage with diligence and sincerity.
Right, those foundational practices of Islam. But it sounds like al-Ghazali was encouraging something more than just ritualistic observance.
Exactly. He saw those pillars as a starting point, a framework for cultivating piety. But he also urged Muslims to extend those acts of worship beyond the ritualistic, to embody those principles of piety in every aspect of their lives.
So it's about taking that intention and awareness we've been talking about, purifying our intentions, remembering Allah, seeking stillness, and weaving it into the fabric of our daily interactions.
Precisely. It's about treating everyone, family, friends, strangers, even those you disagree with kindness, honesty, and respect.
Right.
It's about recognizing the inherent dignity in every human being, regardless of their background or beliefs.
It sounds like he's calling for a radical shift in perspective, a way of seeing the world and everyone in it through the lens of compassion and respect.
And it goes even further than that. Al-Ghazali extended this concept of piety to encompass our interactions with the natural world as well.
You mean like caring for the environment?
That's part of it, but he also emphasized the ethical treatment of animals. He believed that piety extends to all of creation, recognizing the interconnectedness of all things and our responsibility to act as stewards of the earth.
So it's about recognizing that our actions have ripple effects, impacting not only ourselves, but also those around us and the environment we inhabit.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a sense of responsibility for the well-being of all creation, seeing ourselves as part of a larger web of life, and acting in ways that promote harmony and balance.
It's incredible how holistic al-Ghazali's view of piety is.
Yeah.
It's a thread that runs through every aspect of life, from our relationship with the divine to our interactions with the world around us.
It's a beautifully integrated perspective, isn't it?
It is.
And it speaks to the profound impact that cultivating taqwa can have on our lives and the world around us. It's about aligning our actions with our values, striving to live in accordance with the divine will, and recognizing the interconnectedness of all things.
This deep dive has been truly eye-opening, but I have to ask, were there any aspects of al-Ghazali's teachings that were particularly challenging or controversial even during his own time?
That's a great question. And it reminds us that even a figure as influential as al-Ghazali wasn't without his critics, some of his more mystical leanings, particularly his emphasis on the inner experience of faith and the importance of spiritual purification drew criticism from more literalist scholars who focus primarily on outward observance and legalistic interpretations of Islamic teachings.
So there were different interpretations of what constituted true piety even back then.
Absolutely. And that diversity of thought is part of what makes studying Islamic intellectual history so fascinating. Al-Ghazali, like many great thinkers, challenged conventional thinking and pushed the boundaries of theological discourse, which inevitably sparked debate and disagreement.
It reminds us that even within a single tradition, there can be a spectrum of perspectives and interpretations, and that engaging with those diverse viewpoints can enrich our own understanding.
Precisely, it encourages us to approach these teachings with a critical and open mind, to consider different interpretations, and ultimately to find those aspects that resonate most deeply with our own hearts and experiences.
So after exploring al-Ghazali's perspectives on Islamic guidance and piety, what stands out most to you? What lessons or insights resonate most deeply?
For me, it's the emphasis on the transformative power of piety. The idea that cultivating taqwa isn't just about fulfilling religious obligations, but about embarking on a journey of self-discovery and spiritual growth. It's about purifying the heart, refining our character, and striving to embody those virtues that lead to a more meaningful and fulfilling life.
I love that, and I think it's a message that transcends religious boundaries. It's a universal call to live with intention, awareness, and compassion.
I couldn't agree more.
One final thought to ponder, and this is a question for you, dear listener. How can you apply these teachings of self-reflection, sincerity, and mindful action in your own life, regardless of your personal beliefs? It's a question worth exploring. Until next time, happy diving.